all the benevolent beings of light, archangels, and ascended masters, to guide and inspire us during this forum. Our forum's vision is to bring the understanding, tools, discipline, and support for those seeking to enter the straight and narrow path, the road less traveled, that will lead us along effectively and steadily through the ascension process. Integration of the human experience with our divine origin is moving us full circle to achieve our divine potential. So be it. Amen.
So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Corinthians 2:4-18. Remember that. It is so true. The Maya is the unseen, it is the seen. Thank you. God's gifts. Can you relate to some of the things that were said tonight? It was so well done. I just kept smiling because it's the story of how everything unfolded for me. It's just beautifully stated. Who are you? We're discovering who we are, right? Every day something happens and we realize, gee, I could handle something like that. I never faced such a situation before, but we could do it. Or we meet somebody and they blow our mind and we realize we understood them as profound as whatever they brought to you was. This is how we discover who we are, by being out in the world, meeting people, reading material that is very, very much your interest, to want to know more. I was born wanting to know more. I asked more questions. That's why I was always in trouble, because I never stopped asking questions that people didn't have the answers to. Not my parents, not my sister, not my brother. My aunt and uncle just pet me on the head and said, "That's nice," and never answered my questions. And I wondered, why doesn't anybody know the answers to my questions? Because it wasn't interesting to them. They were very comfortable being in the world, living within the box, thinking along with how everybody thinks, being part of the mental crowd, and I wasn't. How about how many of you didn't feel like this was the way things needed to be? Did you feel like you didn't fit into this picture of the world as you saw it as a child? Really? Definitely. It was very disturbing to me. I would ask questions at school, and my teachers would say, "That's not a topic that we're talking about in class today." But I would go after class and say, "Could you answer my question?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Where am I supposed to get answers?" I asked myself, who's going to tell me what I need to know? What's God? How is our planet not flipping all over the place? How is it in a track? How is there a universe? What is encompassing the universe to hold all of this together? Then I made up a story that we're all inside the body of God, because there has to be some kind of place that we are. But nobody wanted to answer or even entertain my questions. God's gift is that we get it from inside ourselves. That potential, the great I am that lives inside each one of us, eventually will clear away enough of the dross, of all of the noise and all of the details of things that mean nothing, so that we make room for the truth to be brought in. that light that we breathe in, that comes in through our crown, that's entering our bodies from the earth, all of it's feeding us. The earth feeds us the information we need to know to survive in a physical body. Our higher self is feeding our soul and teaching our soul what we really need, not necessarily just what we want. And when we get what we need, we start to understand, we gain power, we gain understanding, we ask questions, and somehow we just seem to know, or we're guided to a source of information that's out there for us. Could be a book. For Loring, it would have to be a whole library. But for most of us, we'd find a book and it would be what we needed to know. Sometimes it's not answering the questions that we had. Sometimes it's just bringing us to open up our consciousness more, to understand there's a greater knowledge, there's a greater knowing, there's a greater life that we haven't lived yet. And that's what I sought. Somehow, some way, I made it through my childhood and I got through my teen years and I started settling down and getting real with myself. And I started to cleanse. I started to clear all the things that were troubling me. I had to let them go. And once I stopped being troubled, I started being centered. I started being quiet. I started listening to the feelings and the inspiration that was being given to me that I was missing for so long. How does this happen? First, we've got to want it more than anything else. We want to fill ourselves with what we want, not all the nonsense in the world. I never hung out with anybody my age. They were so immature. I hung out with the elders. I wanted to know their stories. I wanted to know what they knew from all their years of experience. And I would basically interview seniors. I'd go to the senior center and I'd sit with them. It was the greatest thing that ever happened for them. They had company. Somebody cared to hear their story. You'd be surprised what you can learn from the elders. Yeah. So that was my life. And that's where I felt content. Not your average kid, that's for sure. And all that nonsense with boyfriends and all of that. Oh, please stop. I wanted an intellectual conversation and relationship, and they didn't want to have that. That's for sure. The girls were too busy worrying about how they looked and who liked them and who didn't. So that wasn't working out for me either. Are you like that? Did you have those experiences? Did you find more comfort being with older people? Yeah. Yeah. It really was special. And some of the stories of how they struggled and how they got through it and what life was like when they were young. I didn't make fun of them like my kids would say, "Oh, you grew up in the cave." I said, "No, I didn't." And now my kids are saying that to them. So good. They know what it feels like. Listen, you are so much more than that face in the mirror. You are so much more than you allow yourself to believe. Look at all the things that they were talking about in this. I kept my notes on it. You know, I couldn't stand when things just people would lie or the government would do something that was so disturbing or took away our rights or anything like that. I guess I was a born activist because I stood up, I went to the people who were doing this, and I asked them why. Sometimes they didn't take it too well. Other times I had some good conversations. I said to our supervisor, you could leave a legacy here. This town has so much history. And he leaned over the desk with this mean look on his face. He says, that's the last thing I want to do is leave a legacy. I said, but why? You could do so much good in the position you're in. And he told me that he has another appointment and I better leave. Well, that's the sad part. So what could I do about it? When things were going really, really wrong, I stood up and spoke to people, and they listened and helped me to do what I did. I never realized I was an activist, but I was, because if nobody else was going to do it, then we would suffer from it. And then everybody would blame it on the leadership, but they never took a stand, because people forget that living in this country, that we had the power. It's the by the people and for the people. This isn't political. This is actually spiritual. We didn't know our power, that wherever we voted, we had the power and the say through our votes and our voice. And the majority rules. Believe me, it did. I proved it over and over and over, everything that I did. I didn't do it nasty or make enemies. In the end, I was praised and honored by the very people that I was trying to get to change their ways. Because truth is truth, right? When you do good, when you can prove what you're saying is the truth, the way, people will come to understand it. They can fight it because they might have had another agenda going on, and they didn't want that being messed with. But in the end, the truth is the only thing that's going to survive. That's why at this time, all of the darkness is running in circles, because it's all falling apart. Those of you that brought in the light and held it and didn't let yourself go the other way, you help create the doorway to open for this level of light that we're living in now. Every year, the energy raised, although there was so much darkness, you couldn't even see it. And we've been living in that darkness so long that we were drowning. We were drowning in it, but we didn't join the other side. We didn't. And that's why we have the privilege of being here, learning about our true abilities, having the divine one within. And that is our potential. Reach for that potential. Never stop reaching for that potential. Don't settle. It'll make you crazy. That mediocrity. You could never live like that, because you know the truth. And the truth is the only thing that matters. And what does that truth bring? Peace. Divine peace. Joy. The power of love. Love is the strongest force in the entire universe. Did you know that? It is. A person who is in a body that's shot and wants to leave, if the family does not let them go, they literally will stay there in that body until you let them go. Because love, that deep love, even though I feel that's selfish at that point, if they're done, they're done. You let them go on their way. However, love sometimes will override that in the sense that they can't live without them, and they'll hold them there. I watched this happen with an aunt and uncle, and she thought it was kind of remarkable. I thought it was very disturbing. She goes, watch this. He'll come back. Watch. And she'll call his name until he came back into his body, Joe. His name was Joe. And she did it over and over, and he kept leaving because his body was in such pain. And I started to cry, and she said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "This is so mean what you're doing. This is selfish. Let him go." And she looked at me with such shock. And she said, "I can't hold anybody here. He's coming back for me." I said, "No, your love is holding him here." And that afternoon, after I left, she let him go, and he passed within a couple of hours. And she was devastated, of course. However, she realized how selfish it was what she did. Life doesn't end with the body ending. It doesn't. You'll take on another one and another one. But the beauty of this lifetime, this is the lifetime when we can take on our eternal body. Yeah. Not have to go through a death experience. But it takes work. You need enough light in you to lift you up into the frequency of 5D. Not in just here and there and behind my ear and on my foot, but every cell in my body. Now you can get there, and you can reach an ascension state that is really, really high. But guess what? You got to hold that light and that frequency, and you can drop out of it. I did it many times, not realizing, but I did. And I immediately brought it all back. I changed my mind. You know how many times I've said that to you? Change your mind, and everything will change with it. Because your life is only showing you what your beliefs are. What you believe for yourself is playing out in front of you through other people and through your own actions. We don't see ourselves the way others see us. We don't. We don't even know what we sound like to other people. But when we come to love and accept ourselves and keep working at everything that we are seeking to rise up out of this limited state, we'll start to love ourselves. You do. You stop picking on yourself, and you start to love yourself and respect and honor the journey that you've been on. How much pain and suffering and joy and happiness that you've experienced. That's what life's about. Until you become the fullness of you, the totality of your awareness, of that love that passes, believe me, the peace and love that passes understanding, where you're still in the same life, you're still with the same people, you're still going through things, but you're not reacting. You're not reacting. When you're reactive, you lower your frequency just like that. And then you're in a little bit of a spin because you're not where you need to be in your center. Breathing and observing and asking within, what is it that I am seeing? What do you need me to do? What should I say? You ask this inside you, and the inspiration will instantly be given to you. But what's the key? You've got to believe it. You've got to believe it. Jesus said, don't worry about what you're going to say. When you need the words, it will come to you. It's the same thing of what I just said. You'll be taken care of. You'll know exactly what to say. Just believe that your higher self is always there guiding you. And even with that, there are angels and benevolent beings and all kinds of unbelievably beautiful souls around you that love you and know you completely and want to help you to thrive. You're never alone. You can live alone. You can have nothing, just be in a box, but you're still not alone. But if you believe you're alone, you'll feel it. I can be alone in the house. Charlie's off and running, and I'm fine. I feel the presence of the love around me. I know I'm not alone. I talk to them. Yeah, because I know they're there. When you open up your feeling world and allow your heart to be wide open, you'll feel the subtle energy of these beautiful beings loving you, sending light to you, blessing you every minute of every day. And when something really crazy happens and you're trying to just get yourself together, just know all I got to do is breathe and stay calm. Do not react. Don't, I mean, if you have to react to get something that's going to break on the floor, I'm not saying that. I mean, if something is happening around you that is uh, really in need, like someone like Judy, who's always on call because she's at work and she's in the hospital, and there's people that need her. They need her to respond if they can't breathe, if their heart is giving out, whatever's happening, she's got to be on her best. She's got to be aware, alert, and able to respond, not react. She's got to keep in her center so that she can get the proper help that is needed. Others of you are working with people, and you have great responsibility there as well. It depends on what uh, your circumstance is, where you work, who you're with. And if you don't work, where did God bring you today? Who did you speak to? That wasn't by chance that you bumped into somebody or you had a conversation with someone. This was all divinely orchestrated. Go figure, right? And every moment, whatever someone says to you, whatever you say to someone, this is important and timely and perfect, even if it's a little harsh. You'd be surprised how that too was called for. It isn't always lovey-dovey. Sometimes you got to be strong and say the truth to someone that really needs it. Holy forever. It moved me so. I remember I saw the guy's picture and I thought, I'm not sure what's going to come out of that voice, When he opened his mouth and I heard that, it hit me right in the heart. And I don't know what's going on with me, but music is just moving through me in a different way. It is. It's almost like I can feel it, taste it. I hear it, of course, but it's palatable. I can't tell you how it moves me. Now, there are singers that are out for the entertainment world type of thing, and I feel them in my gut, and it I it's not their heart. They're not singing from their heart. This guy, I felt it in my heart with, oh, it sent me. I hope it sent you. Music is very important, but not any kind of music. Go for the music that's going to soothe your soul. Listen to music that's going to touch you deeply. The baritone, what is it? The tenors. I have all their tapes. I love that music. I love it. It's really good. And all the classical music was meant to be healing to the human, to work your chakra system, to spin those wheels and open you up. That's where they were written. I have the classical, I think it was Times something, and I bought one once a month, and I have like a whole case full of them. and they're going to come with us to the academy, because this is music that the children should listen to and really feel it. Learn how to enjoy music deeply in the soul. Okay. Thank you. And anybody that's listening to us tonight, please come and join the forum. Go onto the website, ourdivineorigin.com, and just send me an email, and we'll sign you right up. It's free. It's every Wednesday, and we really have 3 parts that are wonderful to enjoy, and we'd like to enjoy it with you. Thank you. God's gifts. You're God's gift. You are. Each one of you. You carry a whole different story. You carry different gifts and talents. You carry a smile that nobody else has that smile, a personality that nobody else has your personality. You are God's gift in expression in the world. Can you imagine that? Do you know, if one of us is missing, it changes the dynamics of everybody's life who was in your life when you were there. It's like when you're a caretaker and the person you were caretaking finally leaves, like my mother did, or my father, or my in-laws. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was like this big dark hole that they left when they were gone. I was so used to being with them, doing for them. Every day it was all about them. Thank God it was one at a time, because that would have been too much for me. But do you see what I mean? You are an important, integral part of the whole entire story of the planet Earth and humanity. Your part, your loving heart, how it responds to certain things. Some of us for the animals more than even people. Others want to take care of people and bring them joy, or to help them physically, or whatever, mentally, emotionally. All of us have a circle of people in our life, relatives and extended family and friends and colleagues and people that you have know at the library. The people in your life, they all need you, and you need them. You need them to bounce off you, and they bounce both ways. Both of you are bouncing off each other. You're actually looking at yourself with another person's face. And it blows my mind, honest to God. And when you really, really recognize this, and sometimes I'm just standing there smiling, and someone will say, "What are you smiling about?" I said, "I don't know. I'm just enjoying you so much." But I'm really enjoying seeing that part of me in them. You see? When you know, that's what true oneness is. When everybody is you and you are everybody. When you start looking at everybody as if it's you, you feel love. You feel, your heart feels for them if they're struggling. Your emotions are tied to what you're experiencing with them. That's the true oneness. There's nobody but you down here. That's it. And everybody else, it's only them. But we think it's other people. We can shut them out, get rid of them, not deal with them, not talk to them. Run, Forrest, run. But that's not it. It's standing there and watching and experiencing yourself. Try to look at life like that. It's kind of like strange. Some days it's so pleasant, and everybody is, in this space where you're going, "Wow, man, look at me out there." And other days there's things to take care of. There's things to help someone. There's times when we just feel a little down because so much pain and suffering was around us. Is it still in us? That's the question. Do we still feel that? If you don't, then you were just there to bring the light. Yeah. You never know why you're there until you feel the situation, until you connect with that energy that's going on in, through, and around you. It's all you. It's all you. And when it hurts, you take care of it. You're not stuck with anything. Until we realize, guess what? My life is good. I'm happy. I'm peaceful. I wasn't like that when I was young. Uh-huh. Watch out. Barbara's entering the room like a hurricane. Yeah. You know what? We're all so absolutely incredibly beautiful, even when we're not acting it. Why? Because we're bringing something to someone and to our own realization when we're not at our highest, when we're not at our joy. And that's the holy moment when you know you have some work to do, even if it's just to sit down and have a little cry. Feel sorry for yourself. I have my little pity party. Yeah, because we do suffer. People hurt our feelings. They do. They don't mean to. They're just being them. Yeah. But be real about it and address it so that you're not hurt permanently. You can let it all go and live the life that you desire. And what is that life? It's a life of peace. Really, peace is so important. When you're at peace, you love everything, you're happy, you feel grateful. It brings all those good traits forward. The most important thing is to feel that love. And if you don't feel loved or you don't feel love for someone, address it. Why don't you love that part of yourself is the question I ask myself. And it happens. It happens. And I feel bad, but I take care of those feelings. My husband always says, oh, for God's sakes, you cry about everything. You cry about the music. You cry when somebody's hurting. You cry when a dog crosses the street and you're so scared he's going to get hit. He goes, what is with you? I said, Charlie, I feel very deeply, all the way to the core of my being, I feel. And when I do, I'm not quiet about it. I express it. It's so important to learn to be free enough to express your feelings. Don't hold it in. Like Robin did a great thing because she addressed it. She didn't start yelling and screaming. She just asked questions. Why? Why would you say that? Why did you do that? To understand, you have a communication going on. But that's a training that you do for yourself because you know what it is when you lose your temper, right? You're yelling, you're screaming, nothing gets resolved. Nobody wants to be near you. And you're standing there going, well, I feel better. No, you don't. But back in the day, we did. We let off steam and we got it out. But when you become a master purger, you let off steam when you're not doing it at anybody, and you get so much more joy out of it. You thank the person that triggered you earlier. Everybody wins. You're blessing everyone because now you took care of the problem, and for eternity, you're free. You're free. Be free. Be free to be you. Be free to laugh when you feel like laughing. Feel free to be loving and caring when you feel like doing that. People say to me, I have to be like this with so-and-so. I have to do this. No, you don't. If it's not coming from your heart, it's not being received in the heart. So what did you do? You did it because you thought you had to. That is not loving. And they know it. Oh, believe me, everybody knows, even if consciously they don't know. They feel it. That's being genuine. You do what you do out of love and kindness, not because you have to, not because it's the right thing to do. Be real. And when you are real, people will appreciate you. People will say to me, Barbara, I'm coming to you with this because nobody else tells me like it is. You tell me like it is. Well, I do. How much help can we be if we're dancing around things? How much help can we be? We're not. We just don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, maybe they came to you because they knew they needed to feel this. They needed to recognize what's going on. That's a master. People say, well, what do you mean a master of the world? That's being a master. Where you are genuinely you, you get inspiration to say something, and it's not like a knee-jerk reaction. Believe me, that doesn't work well. It's actually inspiration coming through because you're in your center and you don't mean harm. I can say things during a counseling that somebody else would have beat the living daylights out of them for saying it, but I say it with love. I say it in an appropriate manner. I show why this was said and how it was playing out in their life, and they appreciate that. You see, when I first started out, I was too brutal and I deserved what I got. But I learned because how would I feel if somebody came at me, with like a phew out of nowhere? So we mature into our spirituality. Please enjoy the journey. It's not just the goal that you're setting for yourself to reach that nirvana that people talk about. Yeah. Just enjoy the whole journey and be willing to love yourself enough so that you can be genuinely you at all times. Yeah. And if somebody doesn't like the real you, see ya. Have a nice day. I love you, love you, love you anyway. Yeah. And you really mean it. You get it? If you're needy and you don't love yourself enough, then you need people around you all the time, reinforcing that I'm lovable. Yeah. But when you love yourself, and I don't mean, like be ridiculous. You know what I mean. You're at peace with yourself. You do what's right. You're living as you're not making believe about anything. You're just so real. I love being around a real person. This other man I had a conversation with, I said, you know what? You're a real human being. And he laughed because he didn't know what to do with it. He goes, what do you mean? I said, you're so real. You're so genuine. Everything you said, how you conducted yourself and how lovely you stated things, and you were so considerate before you said something. I said, I just loved it. I really did. You're wonderful. I'm sure everybody that knows you loves you. And he said, not really, but thank you very much. I'm glad you recognize that in me. So I want you to know I recognize that in you, each one of you. I love you for your difference, how you're so different from anybody else, and how you conduct yourself and how you think and the questions you ask. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I know that you're me and I'm you. Is that cool? I accept that. I really do. So with all my love, I say thank you for being on tonight. I want you to know that I love being on the forum. I missed you guys for 2 weeks. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to do with myself. I had to sit with Charlie and watch some stupid show. This to me is the real deal. And I hope it is for you too. So God bless you and God love you and Happy New Year. And looking forward to our next adventure. Amen.
We are deeply grateful for this forum. We thank those in attendance for your attention for your wonderful questions, future topic suggestions, and stories that touched our hearts and opened our minds to new possibilities. Our collective energy has filled this forum with light and love for each other. We are so grateful that each of us brings guides and angelic beings to the forum, raising the frequency ever higher. We are grateful for the assistance, inspiration, and guidance from the benevolent beings overseeing the forum. Know we are all deeply loved and richly blessed. Amen.
Mm.